The longest government shutdown in U.S. history could be resolved in the coming days, but it could take much longer to repair the damage done to the country's aviation industry. Thousands of flights have been delayed or cancelled due to an ongoing shortage of air traffic controllers. A deadly cargo plane crash in Kentucky last week also put further strain on delivery services ahead of the busy holiday season. Steve Leib is a senior lecturer in aviation at CQ University and he joins me now. Steve, good to have you back on the program. Now, it does look like that the US Congress is getting closer to resolving this crippling shutdown, but even if it does and funding is restored, how much damage has already been done to the aviation industry there?
Well, aside from the long-term uncertainty of stability in the system, we have the biggest travel day in the United States coming up in a couple of weeks for Thanksgiving. Yes. And that's going to hopefully be sorted by the time Thanksgiving rolls around. But at a minimum, it would take weeks just to recover the schedule and staffing from the shutdown itself.
So even if, as you mentioned, if the shutdown ends, are we expecting that there will be some level of disruptions during Thanksgiving?
I mean, in addition to the normal disruption that you can expect on any given day in the aviation system, I think it will take at least a couple weeks to restore staffing levels, and then you have airlines that are scrambling to get their original schedules back on track. So moving these assets around takes a long time to be able to reestablish that.
Yes. And what sort of concerns are there, Steve, when there are reports I'm getting of at least 12 traffic control towers facing staffing issues? How much of that is of concern from a safety perspective?
I mean, all of it, certainly. And I just want to point out that this government shutdown is the latest in an already fairly dire situation of understaffing that we've had in air traffic control towers for a couple of years now. And we are constantly trying to hire new controllers and have a hiring and training process that replaces retiring controllers. And air traffic controllers have been doing a great job of absorbing that extra work. But at the same time, for the safety critical role that they do, we really don't want them to not only have to worry about when their next paycheck is coming, but also just to know when they'll have more staff on hand.
So in general, Steve, what's behind this severe shortage of control staff in general? It's gone clearly beyond this shutdown.
I think it's a constellation of factors. One of the most significant ones is that you have the baby boomer generation, which is retiring. And so that's creating a bubble of vacancies that they need to fill with increasing hiring rates with new staff. At the same time, I think this problem is probably exacerbated by fewer people stepping up to be willing to do the job. And this whole experience with the government shutdown might reinforce that because, again, we have people coming to work. They don't know when they're going to get their paychecks. And that type of uncertainty is not something that we would want in any type of employment situation, let alone such a safety critical one.
Yes, and of course, federal staff also look after security at airports, customs, etc. Are there security implications for airports given the uncertainty around staffing and from what we've seen from this federal shutdown?
Well, certainly all those roles are safety critical. I don't think that we see the same staffing concerns that we see on the air traffic control side because air traffic controllers have so much specialized training and just the supply chain of attracting people into this position, getting them trained up and getting them in the role is quite a long-term endeavor. During the government shutdown, we do have still safety critical infrastructure operating. So if you go to the United States, you will have someone greet you to see your passport and things like that. But I do want to point out that this cancellation of flights in the U.S. right now is not affecting international flights. Okay. So people do have plans to travel to the U.S. Their flight may be canceled for other reasons, but not related to that.
Yes, but would it feed into, especially for domestic travelers, would this be weighing on their minds when they consider traveling over the next couple of months? Because noting that this particular shutdown, if it's resolved, it's only being resolved until the end of January. So will it be on the minds of travelers to say, maybe, let's put it aside for now and stay put?
Well, I would hope that it doesn't impact travel decisions like that, but certainly that type of instability and unreliability can have that effect. And at the end of the day, people just want to get to where they're going. And if that's in doubt, they may choose different travel modes. I guess I do want to point out that the airlines, when they're aware of the U.S. government reducing the flights to major airports during the shutdown to help alleviate air traffic controllers, airlines did a tremendous job of proactively canceling flights and informing passengers and rebooking passengers and things like that. But again, not ideal, and that you don't want them to be in a reactive position.
Yes. And speaking of these Thanksgiving holidays, UPS and FedEx, they are grounding their fleets of the McDonnell Douglas MD-11 planes out of caution because of that crash in Kentucky. Does that mean that there will be significant disruptions to parcel services during an important holiday like Thanksgiving?
Well, they do have large fleets, and definitely the aircraft utilization is generally pretty high in that industry. I think for Thanksgiving, it's really more about passenger travel is the major burden on the system. But just around the corner, we have Christmas, which is a huge shopping season, and not only people purchasing things online and things like that, but also sending gifts to each other. So I appreciate that they've, from a precautionary perspective, just put a temporary stop on that. But I do hope that they can get at least a preliminary investigation out as soon as possible so that if there is no underlying design issue with the aircraft, they can get those returned to service.
Yeah, Steve, let's go to that deadly crash in Louisville. Are we closer to knowing what happened in that incident shortly after takeoff?
Well, it's only been a few days. It's going to take a long time for them to do a full, proper investigation. There is limited video footage of the accident that does show an engine fire on engine number one. I think it's probably going to take investigators a long time to be able to piece that together. And I wouldn't want to speculate, but I think there will definitely be concern. They'll investigate the aircraft design and maintenance and things like that. That aircraft, which was based on the DC-10, had its own issues with engine mounts and things like that were addressed decades ago. So I think they'll approach that with great caution and that history.
Okay, Steve, Leib, we'll leave it there, but I really appreciate your expertise on the program. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.